call this meeting to order and approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good with that, Nick?
Yes, I'm good with that.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Agenda item number 2 is approve the minutes from the May 13th, 2019 regular meeting and the June 1st, 2019 special meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes of the May 13, 2019 regular meeting and June 1, 2019 special meeting.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Alright.
Agenda item number 3, approve invoices and financial statements.
Did you get my email?
I got,
Okay.
yeah, I had a few questions. I sent an email to Crystal and she responded on those. So the Dixon invoice was over the past several months,
Yes.
right? It's not just the month of May.
No.
Okay. And then I saw the copy of the interest rate change. Looks like over the series of the loan, we're gonna save $302,000 in interest by changing that interest rate. So that was well worth it. So we get a bill every 6 months.
Yeah, they'll send us
Okay.
one in November to do part of the interest in December, and then the balance is
Okay.
first of June.
Okay. Thank you.
Payment to Neil Van Egman,
Yeah. that was the third
office
one.
and wall repairs.
Yeah,
That was-
office wall,
that's
and then
separate
we
Crystal.
repaired the flooring.
The
So-
kind of rearrangement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. That we should have done in the beginning.
And Tyler Technologies, that's our annual.
That's
Is
our
that-
software,
I
yeah.
didn't get a chance to look back. Was that comparable to prior
Yeah, I
years?
didn't check to see what it went from last year.
I'm sure it's 5%. That's what they
Probably.
do on everything
Yeah.
every year.
About 5%.
We probably asked you too, Mike, does that compare closely with what the city's paying?
Oh, what's the amount?
We're 17.
17,000.
Yeah, we're high. Yeah, I mean, it's comparable.
Okay. On the financials, I'm still seeing labor really low in comparison, the year-to-date total compared to the budget, 92%.
Right.
In some cases, labor is in the 50s and 60s.
Well, so, we were short
Yeah.
the service tech for a while. We had a retirement earlier than planned. We had,
Water supervisor
our-
open.
yeah, we've had a water supervisor position open, so we've been
It's
short
running
staffed,
lean.
so maybe we can roll over and do some saving next year, I'm not sure.
Yeah. And with a month left, we're probably not gonna incur those expenses for the
Right, I
last
mean, you
month.
can just, and the last one has 3 payrolls in it too, so it's only gonna be 2
Okay.
to.
And on the financial notes,
Mhm.
our reduction in billed units
Mhm.
is now down to 4%
Mhm.
compared to the 14% that it was back in November and
Mhm.
December, so.
Yep, so, we can move there. We talked about the water loss a little bit, but.
Just quick note on that, I mean, I think when I sent the water loss to the board, I just attached kind of a summary of what we found.
Yeah.
With billing being done Friday, when we put a new water line into the north water or wastewater treatment plant, we put a new meter in. That captured an extra 150,000 gallons over the month. So that's not, in the big picture of things, it's not really significant, but it may drop another % or so.
Just in the timing, or?
It had an old compound meter in that I think
So-
that the low flows weren't getting caught, and with the meter we put in now, we're catching everything.
Okay. And that's measuring what, the
be the water that runs the water that feeds everything out the north plant. I know we had
Okay.
2 pumps that
Okay,
have
yeah.
wet seals that it was not capturing the flow for those.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that's where most of our increase is from.
Do we have a similar meter in the south plant?
We do, but we don't have I think back, we do have 2 pumps that have wet seals, but that meter, I believe, was replaced when we put a new backflow preventer in.
Okay.
Then last summer, we replaced that.
Okay.
So I know there's still a couple meters out there yet that haven't been replaced, but it'd be nice if we had another one that would capture us another 150,000.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I think it's a percentage point or 2, but each one of those percentage points
Right.
helps.
I mean, because with flushing and everything, I don't remember what was it, 450,000 gallons, I think we were able to account for by
Yeah.
starting to back out.
And the street sweeper was factored in there as well.
Yeah, and then fire department flow.
Yeah.
We have some service line leaks we know of that letters have been sent, not repaired on. A couple gallon a minute adds up pretty quickly over
Yep.
time.
Well, on the revenue side, it looks like we're about on target.
We are, yes.
On the expense side, we're below
Um,
where we planned to be. Is that
Right
capturing
now,
that
but
right?
That SRF hasn't been updated to this.
Okay, all
That
right.
payment hasn't come out, so.
Okay.
but June usually hits us the hardest, and so then it kind of throws everything and puts everything right back.
Back in.
Mhm, Yep.
Okay. Nick, do you have any questions on the invoices and financial statements?
No, you're not.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve invoices in the amount of $854,560.54 and financial statements as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Hey Brad, we pay
Motion passes.
10,500 a year.
Really?
Yeah, so we don't have an accounts payable. It's a different,
Right, our cash
System.
collection
So-
is different, that utility billing line.
I said
Yeah.
comparable, when you look at the percentages, it really isn't that comparable,
Okay.
so.
Okay, agenda item number 4 is the customer forum. This is the item reserved to receive comments from the community, our customers, for concerns whether or not they are included in the current agenda. The community is encouraged to come and speak before the Water Board of Trustees and asked to keep statements brief. Any questions are to be asked of the Water Department staff and Board of Trustee members prior to speaking to the full Board of Trustees, so concerns may be properly researched and answered away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed at the Board of Trustees only. Time may be limited to 3 minutes.
And they are on for number 7.
Okay, we have a separate agenda item
Right.
for you, so.
Nice of you to turn around.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're all good.
So, okay. Any other customer forum?
I don't think I have anything else.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Anything from the media?
No, sir.
Okay. Very good. Okay, we will move on to agenda item number 5, which is discussion and consideration of billing of 2094 Suffolk Road.
She is not here.
Okay?
I mean, it kind of sums it up. So what has happened is the meter's in a pit there, and it went 5 months without any usage, and so they were paying the average 2 every month. Well, then, we went out, got a reading off the meter and determined that they had used 24 units. Back those 2 units off, I think here she comes,
might be her.
back those 10 units off. We just got to yours, Marlis.
Yeah.
Back
Good
those-
timing.
Back those 10 units off, and so that's where we're at, so.
Okay. All
Do
right.
I have a seat?
Yeah, have a seat right here. We're on agenda item, talking about your issue right now. So the meter was not reading, it was reading 0 units
So
for
the
several
meter
months.
was registering, but the,
Remote or.
Oh, the
reader
oh,
wasn't
okay,
censoring it out.
okay,
The meter was getting the readings,
Okay.
but the reading that we were getting off the radio read wasn't, so.
Okay, so the meter was
It was
turning,
still turning, it was still,
collecting.
yes.
Okay, but the
But it
radio.
took 6 months.
Yeah. Okay. So what the meter read was over that time period, 24 units were
Correct.
used.
Right.
And the minimum bill of 2 units were used over that time period, per month. That's what was billed.
So what's the total amount that,
So
Is the
it was
adjustment?
24 units that hadn't been accounted, or hadn't been billed, but we had billed the last 5 months at 0, so that would have been the equivalence of 2 units.
Yeah.
So we backed that off, that 10 units off, leaving the bill at 14 units
14 units,
to be paid, right?
at a dollar amount of,
You know, I don't have any of that, you do have any of that paperwork? I thought we had that. Minutes.
Oh, we did too.
Yeah, I thought it was in there, I'm gonna pull it up.
So what did I get billed for?
The 14 units.
No, I meant in the first 6 months.
Right,
Oh,
the
I see.
0 is the equivalence of 2 units. You pay a minimum of 2 units.
Yeah.
So it was showing 0, but since that minimum equates to 2 units, we back those 2 units.
Okay,
off.
I want to know how much a unit costs, and after those 2, does it fall down? And if so, where's it show on this bill?
It does not fall down, the units, the rate stays the same.
Okay,
There should be 14 units on that bill.
Right.
right.
So so there were 24 units consumed over that period.
Mhm.
We billed you 10 units over that period.
And I
So-
see it says 14 here.
Yeah, so
That's the
24
difference.
minus the 10 is the 14. So the difference that hasn't been billed is showing on that bill.
Okay, how long has this computer program been going?
We've been doing it for several years.
Okay, somebody needs to go in and correct it or do something that highlights it whenever something is hot like this. There should be some flag or something so it does not take 6 months to be notified on.
What was the flag?
Right,
I thought we had-
that it was at 5 months that,
Okay.
of no usage at all, and so that's when billing contacted her, that's what she was instructed to do. I had no clue prior to that, that they went for 5 months before getting that. It's now been changed to 2, so you're gonna go
Okay.
1 month without any, and, you know, the second month, we're gonna send somebody out. So even if you're renovating your home, and we know that, we're gonna still contact you every 2 months to find out what the status is and what's going on.
Okay.
So, but before that, it was for a 5-month period.
and then
of
automatic
no usage.
message that kicks out of the
There is a
system?
message that
Okay.
kicks out, yep.
It says this
Right.
has gone 5 months. without-
Yes, right, yep.
Yeah.
And it's a
And-
matter of. I
But
mean, so
5
that's
months
been-
is almost too
So-
long for somebody that's
Yeah.
drawing a lot of water.
Yeah, so it,
But it's been changed to 2.
Right, so fortunately, it wasn't an
months.
astronomical amount, but.
Yeah, fortunately for me,
Yeah.
but for
Yeah.
somebody
Well,
in
for
this.
anybody, fortunately, that was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can handle it, that's no big deal,
Yeah.
but.
yeah, yeah, so our general policy is if it goes through the meter, then we bill for it. We had a malfunction in this case, that's why you see a larger bill than normal, but it did still go through the meter.
Okay, I purposely had them come out to see what it looked like.
Mhm.
Do you realize that pit is full of water? That should not be.
The stop pit or the
The
pit
meter
filled
itself
where the
is in a
meter is?
pit, the
There's
meter itself is
out in
in a
the
pit.
yard.
Mhm.
That,
There-
no, it's,
There's
it's in a ditch.
manifold with
Yeah.
multiple pit meters in
Oh.
them.
There's 3 of them in there.
Yep.
It is full of water,
That type of meter is meant to be submerged, though.
clear up to the top of the pit.
The meters are rated to be submerged, but the reader is
The
wide.
pit is clear down, the reader is clear down low.
Right, because it's on the top of
Yeah,
the
but
meter.
the
but-
pit meters have a remote mount on it.
Right.
Should be mounted up high, but that's something to
Well, they went out and changed that, so,
And I can believe that with the rainfall that we've received in the last month, that it would be full of water. That doesn't surprise me.
But the pit is leaking.
So what would your normal consumption be? Would it be different than, what are we seeing, around 3 to 4 units a month?
right, that's gonna be what our average is, say about 3 units. History before that.
I was gonna say, before
It was
that, it was
2s and
basically
3s.
my daughter and her little baby with her. As of 1st of June, end of May, her other daughter has moved back in with her, so there will be a little bit more consumption. That I do realize.
So you think though that water from?
They could literally see it running
you
in a
could see
crack.
water from the meters or the lines were leaking into the pit. Is that
Oh,
what
yeah,
you're
they could see it running in through the crack.
It was a crack in the pit, not
In the
not coming
pit.
out of the
In
water
the-
bottle.
And
in the
it's a
pit, not
ceramic
the
pit
water
that's
in the pit.
down.
Oh, okay.
Just groundwater was
Ground,
coming in.
surface water.
It's,
yeah,
surface
yeah.
water is all coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. can
I
believe
mean, you could literally see it. They pumped it out, so I could see, I wanted to see
Yeah.
what this pit looked like.
it. Yeah.
I am one, I'm hands-on. I want to see what it,
Yeah.
that's, that's the way I learn.
Yeah. I could believe it.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to dig too far.
Any kind of pit.
You're gonna reach water
Water.
now, so.
Yeah, but when the crack is clear down the side of it,
Yeah.
don't you ever replace them?
I believe the pits are, property owner's responsibility.
I think so too.
We own the mains, and from the main to the property.
This
it's
isn't,
all
this isn't a
homeowners.
ditch line.
But it's still part of your service line feeding your house, so it'd be homeowners.
Well, it'd be all three,
It'd be
Right,
all three.
right.
all three of them.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Because the other pit that's on her property, which is shut off, doesn't have water in it. That's what I'm saying. I purposely went over there and looked, because she's got a pit to it too.
And it's dry.
It's dry. That's why I'm saying, should this, you're sort of like blowing smoke at me, and it's like I'm not following that, because I can go to that pit.
Yeah. Well, what we're saying is that the casing that surrounds that has a crack in it, is your property. That's not ours. So in order to fix that, you and the other owners need to get together to fix that. That's not our
Okay.
property.
And it's not affecting the operation of.
And it's not affecting the
Okay,
operation.
that's fine,
but-
as long as it's not affecting it.
But just, on to that tangent, that is, if I remember right, there's one line coming from the main into that pit, and then there's 3 meters in there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So then, to replace all of that, it's gonna require 2 more taps of the water main, and whatever that entails, and then it'd be 3 separate pits, about 15 inches round, that would have to be set. So
No.
that, I mean, just.
No, that's fine.
But just, I mean, if you start talking to the other people that have it, it's more than just replacing that pit, it's also going back to the main and doing new water service taps as well.
But aren't you changing out all the water, something to do with the houses?
Water meters
The
we are.
meters we are,
Okay,
but this would be separate from that.
And is this a newer style meter or is?
This has the new Badger radio reads that we've been
Okay.
installing.
Okay.
I think we put, probably 2 to 3 years ago, we replaced that meter with the new style.
okay. Off the topic, I understand what this is. Off the topic, who actually is living out at the Waterworks Hill?
Former general manager.
Who's that?
Check.
Is he here?
No,
Oh, okay.
he works in Waterloo.
Okay. So is it appropriate for the kids on four-wheelers to run all through that area and tear up everybody's property, being it's flooded?
I didn't know there was any
Yeah, I
of that
didn't know
going
that
on,
either.
so.
Yeah.
I'd have to look and see myself.
Well, right now, it's still got water in the field.
Yeah.
But we have personally seen them because we live on the other side of the river. And we come through there and they're out in the field on the north side with four-wheelers in that property that's Red Cross or something.
And
I don't
I'm
know
not that
the-
familiar.
I don't
Mud,
know who the adjacent property
mudding,
is.
basically with four-wheelers. And I just,
Okay.
like, is that appropriate? Is that,
I wouldn't think so.
No.
I mean, while I'm here, I'm gonna unload.
But we need to stay on task here, so, the 24 units that have gone through the meter, 10 of those units have already been billed. So there's 14 units that are outstanding.
Okay,
And that's what you have received on your latest bill, is the 14 units.
right, but unless I had not talked to Crystal, I did not realize it was 117.53, because you can see my bill that came in the mail.
Yep.
It's been torn off.
Oh, okay, all right, yep. And
So
so
it must have gotten
is the amount okay, or do we need to work through a payment plan to pay that amount back, or can it be handled in 1 month?
No, but I think waiting 2 months, if it says it's, you ought to have a reading. Okay, you know the past 3 months, okay, and then number 4 month comes along, and it goes down to where you're having to say, okay, 1 unit or 2 unit minimum. That should be highlighted right then and there,
Yep.
and not wait until the 2nd month
Well,
to
I think
notify everybody.
So
They
we've
should
changed-
automatically look at that.
We've changed our policy to every
To
2
2
months. Yes. And I think
But the
that's
first month
appropriate.
should be highlighted to where the office people or somebody should be able to catch that.
Okay, we can take that suggestion. I believe that we would get a lot of highlights.
We will,
Like
that's why.
half the
we're-
city would be
That's why
highlighted.
we're trying to offset
So-
it by doing it every 2 months, so that we're not having
Is it that
every single
bad with
one.
the equipment?
The equipment's not bad, it's
No.
not the equipment.
No, it's
It's just no
time.
consumption. It's-
Could be people go to Arizona,
that
they
use
go on
the
vacation.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I realize that, but it should be highlighted. Because this 2 months is, some people can't afford it. I'm sorry. There's a lot of them here in town that cannot afford even waiting another month, to be notified.
Okay. So on this agenda item, is there any motion or anything that
Doesn't
needs to
seem
be?
like there is a need for a motion. You're not disputing the amount.
I'm not disputing the amount, knowing that
Payment plan, so-
there's nothing saying, okay, if you use X amount of water, it's straight across the board what it gets charged. I didn't know how your billing went. You
Yeah.
can't really see other than what you see here. On the computer, you can't go in and actually look at it. And I'm one that I want to physically see something to understand it. There's different ways of people learning, and that's me. I don't have any trouble barking up somebody's tree.
So I don't,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, don't see any reason for any action on this topic.
Okay, all right.
So,
Thank you for coming in, so I hope
sorry I'm
it's
late.
clear now. Yep.
It's all right.
Okay, all right.
But, so 2 months,
Every 2 months is what we've changed our policy to.
okay, and it will be flagged to where somebody actually looks at it then?
Yep.
Somebody looks at it every month, but it'll be addressed the 2nd month.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay,
Okay.
all right.
Thanks for
Can I
coming in.
leave?
Yes.
I don't need to wait for you.
You're welcome to
Thank you.
stay,
Or you
but
can stay if you
you
want.
you can leave.
Can I have the input then?
It's up to you, it's an open meeting.
I'll see what's going on.
Could you please move back there, because we have other people that are going to come up here as well. Thank you.
I'm quite content with sitting back here. I don't
Okay.
like the hot seat.
Oh, I don't mind it.
We will move on to agenda item number 6, which is discussion and consideration of billing of 307 First Avenue East.
And he is not here.
Okay.
He had a leak and we did a sewer adjustment based off of what we can do.
Yep.
And, he wanted to know if the water could be reduced also.
Okay, and the
So-
sewer that was done per policy, it was.
Correct.
It didn't go to the city council?
No, it just was,
Okay.
It was,
the adjustment was just done, back in April,
Okay.
actually, so.
Okay,
Yeah, he was just wanting to know if he could have water reduction too.
Okay,
And
well-
but typically that isn't what happens, but you can come to the board and,
okay, all right.
Or you have some authority to do a payment arrangement.
right, but this was pretty high and I couldn't do
Yeah.
that, so he's actually already paid it, was just wanting to know.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
Yep, I don't need to worry about that.
So the bill was paid in full?
Yes, yes, it was.
Okay. Agenda item number 7, which is discussion and consideration of filling pool from hydrant on 813 North E Street. And I think this is your
That's
agenda.
us. Do I have to come up there or can I stay here?
You don't have to.
make her
You-
go up there.
You are welcome.
Shut up.
You are welcome to sit wherever you want.
I was talking to Crystal about this on the phone quite extensively last week. We're from Washington State, just moved here 3 years ago, this summer. But, out there, there's water trucks available for, you pay to haul in and truck in your water, rather than paying the water rates through your hose. I don't know if you guys are aware, our water pressure over on E is beneath anything. It took me over 12 hours to fill my hot tub. I mean, it's that diminished. So filling a pool is going to take us 4 to 5 days. So I was asking, I was calling around first, looking for water trucks. Nobody in Iowa does that. Second, I was told, call your fire department. Called the fire department. They said, well, we've got the hose, but you gotta get the gauge from the city to put on the hydrant. Well, you guys don't do that. So, I mean, that water going through that hydrant to flush the hydrant is a lost revenue. Plain blank, that's governmental waste. And I, as a taxpayer, don't agree with any governmental waste. I know it's out there, I know it happens, I know sometimes there's no control over it, but you guys are sitting here talking budget and stuff, there's revenue right there. Hey, we're gonna be bleeding the hydrants, if anybody's gonna have a pool, you can pay for some of that water. It's not that hard, you sign off on, I know that there's not 100% pure drinkable water. Okay, do it. But, I mean, that is gallons and hundreds of gallons running down the street, going into the storm drains, which is, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be blunt, it's BS in my book. And then on top of that, I'm gonna, pay to fill it out of my garden hose. I'm paying sewer on that, but that water's not going back into the sewer. So there again, I'm getting double tagged, paying for something I wanna legitimately pay for. So what can be done about that? I mean, I understand logistics, but I also understand somebody like me that's willing to say, I get it. Why not?
Pay for it also.
I have no problem with paying for the water, but I don't, I just can't see all that waste running down the street. This winter, you guys bled off all the way down College Avenue and Market, and it iced over because of it. And I'm not saying you guys, but the fire department bled off the lines. And that, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of gallons of waste going down the streets. And it could be going into gardens, it could be going into pools, it could be going into, rain barrels, you name it. People will pay for that rather than letting it run down the street. If it's put out publicly, we're gonna bleed this hydrant at this time. Why not? If I'm willing to sign off on it, why can't it be done? Somebody, please fill me in on that. Crystal and I went through this pretty extensively on the phone. And trust me, I was on the phone calling. I ended up with a company in North Carolina going, we don't truck water that far. And a guy in Des Moines still truck the water out of here, but he's got a 500 capacity, 500 gallons. Those hydrants bleed off at what per minute? How many gallons?
Depends on where you're at, anywhere from 150 gallon a minute to 1,300 gallon a minute.
There you go. And you're looking at a 4,000 gallon tank or, swimming pool. I mean, that's a luxury that we are asking for. But that's water that could be used rather than waste it. And then I'm not, you know, why do I have to pay sewer on something that's not going back into sewer? That's another question for it. Somebody got an answer? Poor Crystal got my wrath the other day, so somebody else come up with it. Thank
Well,
you.
I'll take
Crystal
it.
was like, I don't know, that's a council question.
So I'll take a swing at the hydrant flushing. So the idea behind hydrant flushing is to clean our distribution system.
Correct.
So if there's any buildup in the hydrants, then that buildup will be pushed out.
Right?
During that
And the first couple
flushing.
minutes, we'll flush that.
It could be, policy is
Well, we
to
have-
run it for.
Anywhere from 2 to, we have a couple hydrants that may run up to 45 minutes.
Yep.
Mhm. And how many gallons of water is that waste? Exactly my point.
Yeah, it's part of the system, and Oskaloosa is not the only city that does.
No,
that.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that.
I'm
Almost
gonna
every
guess
city.
that, well, I don't know about every city in the United States, but I hope most of them do it, to keep the distribution.
Well, they all
system
flush their
clean.
hydrants. I don't get a, you know, that I have no qualm with, but I mean, I've got a hydrant less than 500 feet from my house.
Yeah.
So, you
So
know,
when filling, if we were to fill a pool with that or send it to a consumer, you would have to run through a meter.
Which I have no problem with.
Which is bringing down the size of the hose to go through the meter, right? How big of a hose would we need?
my understanding is there's construction meters that run off a hydrant.
Yeah.
So if it's a construction meter, it wouldn't gauge it down.
We have,
Am I wrong?
We have them that, like, Hy-Vee Garden Center uses one that uses a garden hose, and we also have the 2.5 inch
Okay.
fire hose.
The garden hose one is the one that I've seen.
The other one's about a $3,500 meter, weighs probably 125 pounds.
Every bit of
and
that.
about 3.5, 4 foot long, so.
It's a challenge to put on to.
And there's a risk to damage to the system. I mean, that's kind of one of our concerns, and then.
Because of backflow.
No, it's got a backflow preventer on it, but it's just the weights if the stand would break or move. And then also, the general public opening and closing our hydrants, potential for water hammer and main breaks.
Okay, but if you've got the fire department there who's already bleeding it off, they've got the gadgets to turn it off and on.
Is it the fire department that bleeds the
We
flushes the system, or do we handle it?
we handle the flushing, but, and I don't know what the fire department would be.
I haven't, it's news to me, if they're testing equipment maybe, but I haven't, the flushing's handled by water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, I know like in Ankeny, I think their fire department does that work for them.
We flush twice a year. Typically, if you see hydrants open, other than that, it's because of a water main break, relieving pressure.
Yeah.
The concern I would see with that would be logistics. Usually if we have a main break, we don't have a day heads up to give people.
Obviously, right.
So,
Yeah.
so I would see a logistical issue there, other than that's just the twice a year we flush.
So is it unheard of to request that to be done or to be put out there as a public notice? This part of town will be flushing, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we as consumers, it's our responsibility to watch notifications then. But, I mean, it's revenue that you as the water company is losing is my point. That we gain, yeah. If it could be sold
It's
rather than
water that
lost.
we wouldn't have to produce. So it's not necessarily a revenue issue, it's more producing more than what we need. So producing it and then losing it is the issue. It's not necessarily a lost revenue.
But if I'm paying for it, it's a gain.
Yeah, that side of it, we'd have to talk about, I think my first thought is about using the water from this hydrant to fill your pool, is that.
If it's already being flushed,
If
I'm
it's
not
already
saying a
being flushed,
specialty, come out and do it.
I'm not sure how much coordination would be involved in hooking that hydrant up to filling the pool. That's not what we're about. We're about providing,
I understand.
water to the city. I don't know if there would be any liability issues that would go along with that, that would kind of
You
put
can
us
always
in a
find an
bad-
insurance person with liability issues.
I guess my
Yeah.
other concern would be, would we get complaints? You know, obviously, we wouldn't wanna run that hose across the street where we'd have traffic over the hose.
Yeah.
That was my understanding, that I'd have to coordinate with the county and shut the road for that 20 minutes or half hour.
So what's the water pressure? Is there a known issue out there with water pressure?
That's, I typically know, because that should be right off of our 10 and 12 distribution lines.
Unless it's with something in the service
And
line.
Depending on what your service line is,
What is your typical pressure?
50 to 55, depending on location.
Find that.
I don't have that.
Do you know what you have for a service line?
We bought the house 3 years ago this
Okay.
month. so I
There
do
is,
not.
it could be a galvanized service line that's corroded in. That would cause a pressure issue. It could be a 1/2 inch line instead of a 3/4.
Well, it's an older house, right?
So, I mean, there's a lot of potential. Typically, what we find with pressure issues, it's typically a galvanized,
Restriction.
a restriction in the line somewhere, whether it be in the plumbing in the basement or in the service line going to the main.
All the plumbing in the house, in the physical home, has been updated.
Okay.
But we still don't have the water pressure.
We got a new meter, so.
Yeah, we just got the meter, the new meter you were talking about, so.
I can look and see if there's any notes on this account, if we've had any service cards and been out there, to see if there's any issues, if we know what the line is.
And then I guess another thing you've kind of touched on that maybe we could address is the paying sewer on water that's not going through the sewer.
Yeah.
Correct?
There is properties in town that have 2 meters in the house. One is, they call it a sprinkler meter, and it is purely for like your outside faucets.
Wish I would have known that last year when I was watering my garden, nobody even mentioned that.
That is an option some properties do have in town where, if my understanding is, you pay a minimum on the meter when it's on, but there's no sewer charge on that meter, correct?
Right.
But any retrofits that are required, anything plumbing
Is
is
homeowner.
is
Yeah,
your.
it's all
Yes.
homeowner.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's turned on in a certain month and then turned off on a certain month.
Yeah, actually, the first year has to stay active, and you have to pay
Okay.
minimums for the first year, and then after that, you can have it shut off in the winter months.
Okay.
No usage on it, still paying the minimum of 2 units.
So depending on what your
So
consumption
you're
is.
basically gonna spend as much.
You're gonna-
Yeah.
Depending on what your consumption is, I mean, if you're watering every day, all day, then there would probably be some savings.
No,
Yeah.
no. I
Right.
go out and hand water, with the hose, but yeah. So how would I find out if this is a doable factor, or is this something you guys wanna discuss and get back with us?
I'd say that this is the first time I've heard of this request.
Only because I
Only
can't
from-
find
only
anybody
because
to
we're from
haul it
Washington.
in, so.
I think if you could find somebody to haul, we do bulk sales at our treatment plant where you wouldn't pay sewer on it, but you'd have to have somebody with a water tank to
I
haul
wish
it
we
in.
could find one.
Couldn't find any.
I don't have it, that's $1 million question.
Yeah, that's what she said on the phone, that's $1 million question, find somebody, call me back.
You do let me know, because
Your best bet would probably be a
everybody with a
farmer
pool
that-
wants that, so.
Yeah.
Sounds like a business opportunity.
Sprayers
Out in
use a lot of
Washington,
water.
which is the rainy state, it's all over the place out there because of construction and all that kind of stuff, but out here, nobody.
Yeah, I wish I had a good suggestion on trying to find somebody to haul it, but
Well, thank God you're not Washington.
No, we're not gonna go there, but.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's all that we have for this agenda item. Thank you for coming in.
No, thank you for listening.
And I will look up and see if we have any service cards to see if I have any indication what that line is. I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Crystal.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
great rest of your evening.
You guys have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 8 is discussion and consideration of pay application number 2 for KLC Construction. So KLC has given us a invoice for this is the second pay application, right,
Right.
on this one. So in the amount of $69,021.11. Is there anything that or how's the project going? Are we gonna meet our timeline on this project?
Currently, they are boring by Clemens. My understanding is they're under Highway 432 and they're heading east. Seem to be making good time with it.
Okay.
I'm a little setback right
It's
now,
all set back to.
just this afternoon.
They were boring underneath the private service that feeds Clemens, Malcolm Lumber, H&S Feed, all those, and the main broke. So they're currently trying to get that main repaired.
The main that runs along Highway 92?
That would be the one that runs underneath the new concrete at
Right.
Clemens.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oops, yeah. There it is.
So this project has,
But it's moving along.
which one is,
This
this is
is-
the cases where lights where the road's closed?
Yes.
Yeah, this is North L.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we had some complaints about
doesn't match your
business.
shirt.
Gary Maurer called me last week, and
So, yeah.
we also had a complaint from, is it Daryl's?
Yeah,
Auto.
the
Auto.
Further north on Hill?
Yeah.
Right, there's no other
Yep. I talked with Ben with Garden, who's overseeing the project, and also Kent, and the plan is to have Leroy pour that concrete back this week and hopefully move forward on getting that
Get
open
it
back
open
up.
up, okay.
So are their service lines disconnected, or they still have water?
They still have water.
It's
They're
just fixing the concrete for the road is what
Correct.
they want? Okay.
Because they have it shut down on B Avenue and North, was it K, I think. So they have a road closed sign, so it looks like the road's closed, but they have it so you can still get through.
Okay.
But nobody's coming through and he's having a loss of business to that, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
The importance of getting that road back
that
open
open
was
up
expressed in the last week.
so
Okay.
sometime this weekend?
It sounds like you're supposed to pour concrete this week, is what I was told.
Okay.
So I'm assuming, probably beginning of next week before they'd open it, 7-day cure time roughly.
Okay.
5 to 7.
Okay. Any concerns that you have on the pay application, Brad?
No, I'll make a motion to approve payment application number 2 to KLC, $69,021.11.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, agenda item number 9, discussion and consideration of consent waiver agreement with Allers and Cooney. So I've been involved in a few emails back and forth on this one. I can provide some background, Mike can probably as well. This is, since Allers and Cooney has served as our legal counsel individually, as a city and as a water department in the past, we're setting up a contract where they would be representing both of us, and so neither one of us can use this attorney to file legal complaints against the city or the city against the water department. Did I capture that?
Yeah, so basically you're waiving the conflict
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah, I think that's all we're saying. We're
Yeah.
not going
Yes.
to view it as a conflict of
Right.
interest.
Yes.
In this matter.
Right. And bleeding into more of the discussion about the agreement, we need to have some more refinement of it, and I think we can do that internally without spending more money on an attorney. It's drafted in a way that's very much looking out for the interests of the municipality and the water utility, and does put kind of an interesting,
Screw job. Would be my way to call it.
yeah,
I am
on
gonna
the
put that
third
in there.
participant.
That's fine, I can come up with a couple other terms you'd rather.
Yeah, don't-
So-
Don't tempt him.
The idea is to massage that a little bit so that we don't have that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, I think it needs to be more advanced than just us signing it and, you know, some
Yeah.
bullet terms, but it sure would be nice if we could boil it down to as simple as possible, and it's not there yet, and we can get it there.
I'd consider myself a layman when it comes to legal jargon, and this is above my layman terms, I would say.
It's not a simple agreement, and that's what I'll take the blame, I looked it over, and I said fine, and I sent it over to you guys, and I probably shouldn't have, but.
And did this get presented to council?
No,
Okay.
nothing has been presented to council. Even the conflict item hasn't yet. You guys are gonna go first. We
Okay.
meet on Monday.
Yep.
Since they've drafted it, I think we still should have both parties agree to it, and then we can modify it without sending it back and forth to them. We can just send our final version, say, we've agreed to this, and move on. And
Yep.
Dave Dixon's agreed to look at it. And I'm not gonna ask us to present a conflict of interest agreement for Dixon, because
I
it
was gonna
represents
say.
both of us.
Yeah. How many attorneys
I don't think
do both
anybody's,
parties need?
right, I mean, Dave's on retainer for us, I'm not, again, we're not gonna, in this agreement, it's pretty straightforward what
It
we're trying
is.
to do. And whether even a legal agreement's required, that's,
So how did they get involved
I
instead of
asked.
Dixon? Okay, you
I
you
asked
reached
them
out
to, because I was thinking they're gonna have some boilerplate agreement, which they did, it's just, it's very, very one-sided, and my apologies, Doug.
And again, my concern less than about the one-sided, was just that we involved an attorney, but I thought we wasted a ton of money, both of our attorneys. When, again, I showed you the 6 bullet points, Brad, that I think we'd all just agreed to this and done a good project, but I look at that kind of simplistic, I guess.
Well, I don't see much concern in waiving the conflict. I don't know.
Yeah. Again, if we're gonna use the agreement as a template, I think we should sign off on the agreement,
Okay.
the waiver.
On the waiver.
Excuse me, the waiver, yes.
Yes.
I would make a motion to sign the waiver from, is it pronounced Allers?
Allers.
Allers
Allers and
and Cooney.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay. Agenda item number 10, discussion consideration of professional services agreement with Garden and Associates for distribution line upgrades on Edmondson North project. So this is the second piece outlining the actual work of the project.
It's, with talking to Jack, it's pretty much same contract we signed for all our projects, it just changes the numbers, same scope of work, same specs.
Okay. And they have started on this project. I saw in our invoices that we paid some money on this project, right? Yep. Okay.
I remember we had 35,000 budgeted for this fiscal year for
Yep.
the starting of that engineering, so.
Yep. Okay. The total engineering fees, they sum that up.
Yes, back to the first page.
76, 5.
Correct. And that was based off the numbers that Mike got, I think it was last meeting, you brought that to.
Yeah.
Do you recall what it was prior to the expansion? of the
I don't know that number.
I think, yeah, we had no contract drawn up, we just had 35,000 budget.
Right, I think
Yeah.
there was the 35,000 in there, so I didn't know what was, that was just for the preliminary, for the
Yeah.
getting it going.
I think usually we split split it 50/50 from
1 year to the next.
1 year to the next.
So we should be pretty close.
Okay, all right. Any discussion? Brad, anything jump out at you?
I'm looking for exhibit 2. Is that in here?
Is that the map?
Is that just the map?
Oh, scope of work, that's gonna be the binder that's in the envelope, yeah, that has all our specs, if you like
Okay,
that.
no, that's all right. You've got exhibit 2 in
Yep,
the book.
it's with the actual document, yeah.
So, no, I don't think I have any other
Okay.
questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the professional services agreement with Garden and Associates for the distribution line upgrades to Edmondson North project.
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Agenda item number 11, discussion and consideration of wage rates and annual cost of living increase.
So this would be the first year of the merit-based system that was approved last year that Chad had come up with. Essentially, we used the Bureau of Labor's CPI for our base number on it. And that was the, I believe, 1.5%.
So 5% was built into the budget? kind of
Correct.
Across
Yep.
the board, just
Correct.
as?
Right,
the
that's what we do
total
every year,
wages?
is 5% across the board just for overtimes or whatever.
Mhm.
And
And
see
then-
that, we might have to, we might be
1%.
revamping that for the next year, but.
Yeah, 1%, 1.5% of that 5 would be the cost of living
Right.
factor.
Right.
And Crystal and I sat and ran numbers Friday morning,
Mhm.
going with the 1.5% with the multipliers that are assigned per year review. We were gonna be well below the 1% of the
Okay.
Of the
merit
merit
pool.
Okay.
Yep. By at least $3,000.
Yeah, because I think we were able,
Merit pool.
yeah, we could have handled it 2% CPI and been close.
Okay.
But Chad had indicated that it was kind of based on the Bureau of Labor, is
Mhm.
how he started this, and so. We're trying to implement it year one.
Yeah. That plan that
And
was
here we are.
Put into place last year,
Yeah.
about a year ago.
Yeah, it was, and then we needed a year so that the employees knew how it worked and what was
Yeah.
gonna happen, and
And
so, and here we are.
So the review's all been done then?
They were,
Okay,
we're
so-
trying to get those done actually.
We have one left, I think.
Earlier, yeah, that was, but for the most part, we tried to get all of them done in a timely manner so that there is a situation or an issue that that employee falls behind or is not where they're supposed to be in that standard, right in the 3 column, the satisfactory or whatever, then they have their timelines to get that figured out. If not, then it said that, like, it was gonna be potential loss of job at that point. So we wanted that to all be in place, or they would have that time to improve and, reevaluate to see if their numbers come in better for the merit pool base. That was the reasoning that we're trying to bump those up and get them done earlier.
Okay. And this would take effect in the beginning of the fiscal year?
Well, July 1st, but it'll be on the first payroll in July.
Okay.
So I think
Yeah.
that catches a couple of days in June or something, but. it's-
Okay, so it might catch the tail end of June.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's Really for fiscal.
28th, I think, is the
Yeah.
last pay, is the
Okay.
payday.
Something like that, so it's,
So maybe 2 days.
Yeah, the action you're doing is to approve 1.5%.
right.
And then
I'll send you
also
a
the
longer
1%
agreement.
merit.
And then-
I'll send you a longer
Yeah, the
agreement.
1% merit pool,
For the
like pulling out of that, but It's, like I said, it's under that,
Things
so.
better.
Yeah.
Because it was coming, it was like, was it 1% of our actual budget?
So-
And then
so-
that's gonna keep us well under the 5%.
It will, yes,
That we
right,
included in the budget.
it will.
One thing that Chad had done is that he had the ability to go above and beyond on these.
Yeah.
Like supervisors, you had a 3-year plan to be 100%, and the maintenance worker position was 5-year. So there is room for some adjustment in there.
But, I mean, there's only, so this actually brings up another question that I have on the payroll side of things is, I haven't been informed yet who our new GM is, but it's my understanding it's not Matt. So my question is, does Matt, I think it was like, does he go back to the original pay then? Then does he get this cost of living on it, or like?
Yep.
So, well, because I know that Chad had also in plan, Matt was at year 3, so he was to get a bump above what this merit pay was. And so I can't do that, really, I don't think Matt can do that, so I think now's the time to discuss it while we're here. Because I wanted to, I know it was, I think it's whenever the new GM starts, then Matt's salary goes back, is that, if that's how I,
Yep.
I guess
Pretty sure
I'll-
that-
I wasn't here for those 2 meetings, so I missed a lot of information, but.
Yeah, that was kind of, what the minute said was that when he starts, then I revert back. I guess that kind of brings up another question on what's the training of the new person? Is that when we're gonna utilize Chad's consultation agreement?
I'd say no. No, because our contract with Chad ends when the new manager starts.
Okay, I thought,
Okay.
okay.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, so my question was, does it go back and then that's just based off of that, or does he get that step that
I don't
Chad
know
had told him he was gonna do,
What the
or?
path might be, to,
Right,
or what kind of commitments Chad made. But I assume we're gonna talk about the new GM and that whole process at some point
Yep.
in our meeting today. Is that
Yep.
gonna be?
I was gonna reserve that for agenda item number 14.
Okay.
okay, yeah, and that's fine, but since we're here, I thought I need to know how that's going to go into play,
I guess,
so.
For-
I mean,
I know what Chad had for a step, he kind of outlined that as he was going. I guess what I would like to shoot for is, our current water supervisor, that we just hired, he came in at 72,425 start on that. My 100% is 73,400. I guess I would like to be bumped to my 100%, and that would put our water supervisor at 90%. I feel with my 2 years of experience and willingness to take this on as well, that.
Yeah.
What was your rate before the
Um,
interim position?
Interim position is.
Beforehand.
Before.
Oh, beforehand, it was 66,000, so it'd be about a $7,400 increase. That comes out to 35.26 an hour. That was at 31.72 an hour, I think.
And the interim rate is?
38, it's 80,000 a year,
Yeah.
I believe was what the interim rate
is that
was.
what it was?
I think it's
just gave me
38,
the dollar amount.
38.69.
Because it was still hourly, so.
I think it's 38.69 was
Yeah.
hourly for that.
And they're saying the new the distribution?
Water distribution.
Water
Water distribution supervisor came in.
At 72.4.
Was this for the scale that we have that we've developed?
That was per Chad's discretion.
Where does that fall in the scale?
90%.
90%, he came in at 90.
You should have
and
been, yeah.
I
that's-
started at below 80.
I think you should have been at 80 and then went to 90, then 100, but
So.
he went in at 90.
90.
Who is this?
The distribution?
Yeah.
Jason
Hacker, okay.
Mm.
So, I'm not, I mean, it's the same level of job between both of us.
And your position is collection.
Collections on the wastewater side.
same scale, just a different percentage.
Yeah, well,
Right.
yeah.
You were at a different percentage.
Yep. So you were at
Well,
90% essentially of the scale.
I think it was.
yeah, because this 73,349 would be top.
Would be
on
100%.
That's my 100%, then that
Yeah.
3869 is 100% of Jason's. So there's a 10% difference between water and wastewater.
Where did that come from?
That was the
The
numbers
only-
that Chad compiled.
Was that a subjective thing, or was that based off the number?
Based off the numbers.
That's based off AWWA, but the supervisor is the only position between water and sewer that is segregated. All the maintenance positions, 1, 2, 3, are the same across the board. So it's only the supervisor that has the 10% differential.
I don't think it'd be unreasonable to unify those as
Yeah, the-
rationale for.
The
Yeah.
collection supervisor and the distribution.
Yeah, as far as having the same philosophy.
Same scale.
That was
Yeah.
what I kept saying in the discussions, but I mean, I felt that they were doing the same thing, just on different sides, so.
Okay, so if you were to go to 73.4, that would be 100% of the scale as it currently exists today,
Yep.
but would be slightly better, more than 90% of the
Other scale.
other scale. Okay. All right, I get that. Okay. So generally, the pay of people below the general manager position is at the discretion of the general manager.
Within that,
Yeah.
yeah, within that
Merit.
window or that merit.
Yeah, within the merit window, right?
Yes.
We can set the window, but the general manager can set where the pay is
Right.
within that window.
Right, yep.
Okay. Since we don't have a full-time general manager, is it applicable for the board to set the pay of a supervisor?
Right. And that's why I'm asking you, because
Yep.
I don't have the okay to do it, and.
Yep.
Third.
Yes, I don't know, with being the interim and what it drops back to after the interim position's finished, if that would give you the,
Yeah.
authority that.
I think we have the authority to do it.
I mean, but the
It just,
justification,
yeah,
the
it just,
justification to set it.
are we telling the general manager right after you start here, this person's gonna get paid this amount?
I'd rather get it done in advance.
Okay.
You'd rather do it
Now.
Now.
now. Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's gonna go, what is it based off of?
Yeah, okay.
I mean, then you're gonna have that conversation, and that's still a good conversation to have
Yep.
anyways.
Yep.
Right, I mean, I think we can have that after we get everybody where it's, and then how it's
I would-
1 year of doing this and seeing
Yeah.
what's.
This is a fine art.
Yeah.
We learned on the
Yeah.
last week or so
A lot of, yeah.
there's a lot of moving
Yeah,
parts to make
Moving parts.
sync.